I don't know about you, but grocery prices lately feel like a bad joke. Like, who decided broccoli and a bag of potatoes should cost $300? It's stupid, it's crazy, and honestly, it's getting to the point where I start doing math in the store aisle and just walk away. But here's the good part. Your backyard, your balcony, even that sunny little window could literally grow you a discount. I'm serious. You can turn a few square feet of soil, or even a couple of containers, into a steady supply of fresh food that costs you next to nothing. So today, I'm showing you 15 crops that actually cut your grocery bill. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just real, simple things that work. And hey, wait till you hear number 13. It's one crop that feeds you twice and almost never dies. It's like the gift it keeps on giving. Welcome back to SereneGreen Gardens, where we make gardening simple, smart, and easy on the wallet. If you're new here, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and go ahead and hit that like button. You're about to save some serious cash and maybe fall a little more in love with growing your own food. Because honestly, I'd rather spend my money on seeds that feed me all year than $5 lettuce that gives up before lunch. All right, let's get into it. All right, so here's how we're breaking this down. We're going to look at 3 simple things for every crop on this list: how much time it takes to grow, how much effort it really needs, and what kind of savings you can actually expect compared to what you'd spend at the store. Now, I'm not pulling this out of thin air. I've grown every single one of these, from a single pot on a balcony back when space was tight to full raised beds that could feed a family. So believe me when I say I know what's worth your soil and what's not. Let's start with the crops that give you the fastest wins, the ones that'll start paying you back almost before you realize it. The crops that give you results so quick you'll wonder why you ever paid for them in the first place. First up, leafy greens. Your lettuces, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, basically the things that make your grocery receipt look like a ransom note. Here's the thing, these are some of the easiest plants to grow and the quickest to harvest. You can sow seeds today and be eating fresh leaves in 3 to 4 weeks. That's faster than most of us can remember to use the ones we buy from the store before they turn into compost in the fridge. The real money saver? You don't have to replant them every time. Just harvest the outer leaves and let the center keep growing. They'll feed you again and again for weeks. Pro gardener tip: keep them cool and moist, especially if you're growing in warmer weather. Morning watering, partial shade, and a little mulch can keep your greens crisp and sweet instead of bitter. So yeah, leafy greens are your instant return investment. They're fast, forgiving, and perfect for beginners. Now, let's move to something even smaller, but somehow 10 times more expensive. Herbs, the biggest grocery store ripoff of all time. $4 for a tiny bunch of basil that dies before dinner? Come on! But here's the magic. You can grow basil, mint, parsley, cilantro, rosemary, thyme, oregano, all right at home, even on a windowsill. And once they take off, they keep giving. You can snip what you need, dry the rest, freeze it in olive oil cubes, endless options. And every time you cook, you'll feel that tiny rush of satisfaction knowing you didn't just throw away another $5 for fresh herbs that weren't even fresh. So, if you're short on space or time, start here. Herbs are your low-effort, high-reward plants. They look good, smell good, and they'll have your cooking tasting like you suddenly learned a few new skills. All right, now that we've handled the quick wins, let's move into the real moneymakers, crops that take a little more patience but pay off big once they start producing. All right, next up, the summer show-off, the crop that looks good, smells good, and tastes like pure sunshine. You can't talk about saving money in the garden without mentioning these. Store-bought tomatoes? They look perfect, sure, but they taste like someone described a tomato to the plant instead of actually letting it ripen. And they're pricey. $3 to $6 a pound for something that barely tastes like food. Now here's the real kicker. One healthy tomato plant can give you 10, sometimes 20 pounds of fruit in a single season. You plant once, and all summer long, you're picking money off the vine. Pro gardener tip: if you don't want the stress of trellising and pruning all day, go for a determinate or bush variety. They stay compact, need just one sturdy stake, and still give you a full flush of fruit all at once. Perfect for small spaces. And the best part? The smell. You know that tomato leaf scent that sticks to your fingers? That's the smell of summer savings right there. Now, on the total opposite end of the effort scale, we've got green onions, or as I like to call them, the forever food. You can literally regrow these from scraps. Cut off the white ends, stick them in a glass of water, and boom, they're back in business in days. No soil, no fancy setup, no excuses. When you think about it, a bundle of green onions costs what, $2, maybe $3? You can turn that into an endless supply for the rest of the year with almost zero effort. Pro gardener tip: once the roots get strong, plant them in a small pot of soil. They'll grow thicker, taste sweeter, and you can keep snipping them as you need. Rotate 2 or 3 pots, and you'll never run out. It's the kind of plant that quietly proves a point. If you can keep a glass of water on your counter, you can start growing your own food. All right, that's your low-effort, high-reward pair. Now let's move to something that takes a little more patience, but pays you back every time you cook. All right, let's talk about garlic. The one crop that takes its sweet time but pays you back like a loyal friend. You plant it once, in the fall if you can, and then you pretty much forget about it. A few months later, when everyone else is complaining about grocery store garlic that costs $1 a bulb and barely smells like anything, you're pulling up heads that could wake the whole kitchen. This little thing right here? Pure gold. The flavor's stronger, the texture is firmer, and it stores beautifully for months. And if you're the kind of person who cooks a lot, you'll go through garlic like water. So imagine never needing to buy it again. Pro gardener tip: choose a good variety. Soft neck for warmer areas, hard neck for cooler ones. And here's the secret: after harvest, save your biggest, healthiest clothes to replant. That's how your garlic gets better every single year. So yeah, garlic takes patience. But when you finally pull those bulbs up, brush the dirt off, and realize you grew enough to last half the year, trust me, it feels like magic. Now, on the complete opposite end of the patience scale, meet the overachiever of the garden: zucchini. If garlic is the slow burn, zucchini is the overexcited friend who shows up uninvited and brings 20 extras. You plant 1 seed, maybe 2, and within weeks it's a jungle. Every morning you go out thinking, I'll just pick that one tomorrow. And by the next day, it's the size of a baseball bat. At the store, these go for a couple dollars each. In your garden, 1 plant can give you dozens. You'll be giving them away by the bucket, and that's not an exaggeration. Pro gardener tip: harvest them young, around 6 inches long. They're sweeter, softer, and the plant keeps producing more when you don't let them get huge. If you've got limited space, you can even grow them vertically. Tie them to a stake or a small trellis, and you'll still get a mountain of squash. So while some crops test your patience, zucchini tests your fridge space. But hey, that's a problem most gardeners don't mind having. All right, now that we've seen the slowest and the fastest money savers, let's meet the ones that grow upward instead of outward. The kind that thrive when space is tight, but the hunger for fresh food isn't going anywhere. All right, next up, cucumbers, the climbers. If you've ever felt like you don't have enough space to garden, this is your plant. Cucumbers don't care if they're in a tiny backyard or a balcony pot. They just need something to climb. This right here is your secret weapon. When you grow them vertically, you save space, you get cleaner fruit, and you keep pests off the ground. Plus, it just looks good. It makes your garden feel alive and structured at the same time. Now, at the store, cucumbers aren't the most expensive thing, but the price adds up, especially when you buy organic. And the store-bought ones, half the time they're waxed, bitter, and tired from travel. When you grow your own, they're crisp, juicy, and they actually taste fresh. And the best part? You'll get so many that you'll be handing out jars of homemade pickles like it's your new side hustle. Pro gardener tip: keep picking them regularly. The more you harvest, the more the plant produces. And if you've got limited space, go for compact or bush varieties. They stay neat, still climb a bit, and they love containers. So yeah, cucumbers aren't just a garden favorite, they're proof that even a little vertical thinking can stretch your grocery savings further. Now this next one, this is what I call the grow your money crop: bell peppers.
At the grocery store, you're looking at sometimes $4 a pound, sometimes even $2 for a single pepper. And if you've got a family that cooks often, you know that adds up real fast.
The good news? These plants are easy once they get going. You plant them, give them sun, keep the soil a little warm, and they'll keep producing for months. And here's the fun part. You can literally grow your own profit. A green pepper is picked early. If you let it ripen longer and turn red, orange, or yellow, that same pepper just doubled in store value. You didn't do anything extra, just waited. That's what I mean by growing your own money. Pro gardener tip. Give peppers consistent warmth and steady moisture. They don't like cold feet or soggy soil. A thick layer of mulch will help hold the heat and the water just right. And if you want to boost production, shake the plants gently when they're flowering. It helps with pollination. So whether you love them grilled, roasted, or tossed into salads, bell peppers are one of those crops that make you feel like a genius every time you pick one. All right, now let's move from these sweet summer stars to the real workhorses, the plants that just never stop giving, no matter how often you harvest. All right, let's talk about two crops that never seem to quit, kale and chard. These are what I like to call the year-round money trees. At the grocery store, this bunch right here, $3, easy, sometimes more if it says organic. But in the garden, you plant once, and these leaves just keep coming back. I mean, some of my kale plants have been going strong for over 2 years. Here's why they're so powerful for saving money. They don't stop. You harvest the older leaves and new ones keep growing. It's like nature's version of a renewable paycheck. And you can use them for everything. Smoothies, soups, sautés, salads. They're nutrient-dense, tough plants, and they don't need babysitting. Just give them steady sun and a little water, and they'll take care of you. Pro gardener tip. Pick the outer leaves regularly. It keeps the plant young and producing. And if you live in a warm area, give them a bit of afternoon shade. They'll last even longer. These are the plants that make you look like a gardening pro, even if you forget to water them sometimes. Seriously, if you want something that gives back all year, start with kale or chard. They just don't quit. Now, if kale and chard are your steady income, beans are the side hustle that pays twice. Here's why I love them. They feed you, and they feed your soil. Pretty generous, right? Beans take nitrogen from the air and actually put it back into the ground. So while you're harvesting food, they're improving your garden for the next round of crops. That's free fertilizer, courtesy of nature. At the store, green beans might cost $3, $4, sometimes $5 a pound. But a handful of seeds, what, a couple of bucks, can give you more beans than you'll know what to do with. And they're easy. Just drop the seeds in the soil, water them, and wait a few weeks. Bush beans if you want something compact, pole beans if you want to go vertical and really stretch your space. Pro gardener tip. Keep harvesting every few days. The more you pick, the more they produce. And if you ever want to store them long term, let a few pods dry on the vine. Now you've got seeds for next season. Zero extra cost. It's the perfect deal. Fresh food for you, better soil for your garden, and savings that just keep building. All right, now that we've covered the greens that never stop growing and the beans that do double duty, let's talk about a crop that feels more like a little luxury, but one that saves you a surprising amount of money once you grow it yourself. Now, let's talk about something that feels fancy, but is secretly one of the best investments you can grow: strawberries. Look, these little guys might seem like dessert, but they're also expensive. $9 for a tiny box at the store, and half the time you open it the next day and there's mold already waiting to greet you. Growing them at home flips that whole equation. You can grow them in towers, hanging baskets, pots, garden beds, whatever space you've got. They don't need much room, and they'll start spreading and producing more each year. Pro gardener tip. Go for ever-bearing varieties. They'll give you fruit throughout the season instead of just one big burst. And if you keep them happy, water, sunlight, a little compost, they'll last for years, giving you harvest after harvest. And honestly, they just taste better. Sweeter, softer, and warm from the sun. It's a whole different thing. Store-bought berries can't touch it. So yeah, strawberries might seem like a luxury crop, but once you've grown your own, you'll never buy them again. You'll just keep adding more planters. All right, next up, carrots. And don't roll your eyes because yes, I know, they're cheap at the store. But here's the thing.
Those bagged carrots, they don't taste anything like homegrown ones.
This right here, this is flavor. Sweet, crisp, earthy, it actually smells like food. And they're still one of the best low-cost crops you can grow, especially if you use your space right. A single packet of seeds costs less than a cup of coffee, and it'll give you hundreds of carrots. They don't need fancy soil, just loose dirt and a little patience. Pro gardener tip: thin them early. I know it's painful to pull out seedlings you just planted, but giving them space to grow means you'll get full, straight carrots instead of a tangle of tiny roots. And if you want an extra trick, save those tops. You can regrow them for greens, or toss them into soups and pestos. Waste nothing, save everything. So yeah, carrots may not sound glamorous, but when you grow them yourself and taste that first one straight out of the soil, it kind of ruins store-bought forever. All right, from these underground treasures, let's move to something that grows fast, crisp, and endlessly useful. A crop that never stops giving once you get the rhythm right. All right, let's talk about lettuce, the quiet hero of grocery savings. Now, you might think, lettuce? Really? But hear me out. At the store, a single head can cost $4, sometimes even $5 if it's a fancy variety. And half the time it starts wilting before you even finish your salad. When you grow it yourself, the story completely changes. You can plant several varieties: romaine, butterhead, little gem, oak leaf, and you don't have to harvest the whole thing at once. Pro gardener tip: use succession planting. That just means sowing a few seeds every week or two. It keeps the harvest going non-stop. You'll always have fresh, crisp lettuce ready, and you'll never find yourself paying for soggy greens again. The best part? It's easy. Quick growing, shallow rooted, and totally fine in containers. It's the kind of crop that quietly saves you money all season long. But while lettuce is all about quick returns, our next one's about the long game. Fruit trees, the long-term wealth builders of the garden. Now, yes, they take patience. You plant today, and it might be a year or two before you see your first harvest. But when they finally start producing, oh, it's worth it. A single mature tree can give you hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars worth of fruit over its lifetime. Apples, peaches, citrus, guava, even pomegranates, they just keep giving. And the flavor? Way beyond anything that's been trucked across states to sit on a grocery shelf. Pro gardener tip: treat fruit trees like an investment. Choose varieties that do well in your climate. Feed them well early on and prune them every year. Once they're established, they'll outlive most of your garden plants. You know, it's kind of poetic. Plant once, nurture it, and it feeds you for decades. That's what I mean when I say gardening builds real wealth. Not just in money, but in what you can grow, eat, and share. And finally, sweet potatoes. One of my absolute favorites, because you're not just growing one crop, you're growing two. Most people don't realize this, but those beautiful leaves are edible too. They're mild, slightly sweet, and perfect for sautéing. Meanwhile, underground, the roots are doing their thing, growing into those golden, hardy tubers we all love. Store-bought sweet potatoes aren't exactly cheap, and they don't have half the freshness of what you pull from your own soil. And the vines? They look amazing, almost ornamental, while they quietly work on your next harvest. Pro gardener tip: start with slips. Those are just sprouted shoots from a sweet potato. Once planted, they'll spread fast, so give them space. And if you're working with containers, pick a deep one. Those roots like to stretch. So yeah, sweet potatoes are basically the buy one, get one free of gardening. You get greens, you get roots, and you save money from both ends of the plant. So whether you're planting quick greens, investing in fruit trees, or doubling up with sweet potatoes, each one of these crops gives you something bigger than savings. They give you freedom, the kind that grows quietly right out of the soil. All right, let's pause for a second. Because I know, at this point, it probably sounds like I'm telling you to turn your whole backyard into a mini farm. Relax. You don't need all 15 of these crops, seriously. Pick 3, just the ones you actually eat the most. That alone can start cutting $20, maybe $30 off your grocery bill every single month.
without you even trying. Look at this. A few pots of lettuce, some herbs, a tomato plant or two. That's it. This tiny setup can feed you fresh produce for weeks.
So don't get overwhelmed thinking you need acres of land or some Pinterest-perfect garden layout. Start small. Let it be fun. Let it grow with you. Because this right here, this is proof that even the smallest space can make a real difference. All right, now that we've caught our breath, let's get back to a few more crops that quietly do the heavy lifting for your wallet, the kind that pay you back again and again once they're in the ground. Let's talk numbers for a second, the real-world side of all this. This little $4 pack of basil seeds, it'll give you hundreds of dollars worth of fresh herbs over time. And that's just basil. You throw in mint, rosemary, thyme, you're looking at serious savings. And the thing is, the store can't compete with the taste. This right here, it's fresh, fragrant, alive. You can't even put a price on that flavor upgrade. So technically, growing your own food isn't just saving money, it's kind of like robbing the grocery store. Politely. You get better quality, more quantity, and you keep your money where it belongs, in your pocket, not their checkout counter. And honestly, once you start seeing how far a few seeds can go, it changes the way you think about food altogether. You stop seeing dirt and start seeing possibilities. All right, so now that we've talked about value, let's talk about you, because this next part is where you get to jump in and share what you've been growing or maybe what you've been trying to grow. All right, now I want to hear from you. What's the one crop that's actually saved you the most money, or maybe the one you swore off after it ate up your entire weekend? Yeah, we've all had that one plant that started out as a cute little project and ended up taking over the garden like it pays rent. Drop your story down below. I read every single one. Seriously, I love seeing what's working for you and sometimes what's not. We're all learning here together. And who knows, I might even feature a few of your comments or garden photos in the next video. So if you've got something growing you're proud of, this is your moment. All right, ready? Scroll down, type it in, and let's make the comment section feel like a backyard chat between friends. You know, gardening doesn't have to be expensive to be powerful. Every seed you plant is one less receipt you dread. It's not just about saving money. It's about taking back a bit of control, finding peace, and letting your space give something back to you. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up. It tells YouTube to share it with more smart, down-to-earth gardeners like you. And don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, grow smart, save more, and stay serene.